All right. What's up? Welcome to a new episode of Cool Girls Create. And y'all, I'm so hyped because I got my favorite New Yorker in the building. Okay. A senior writer from Hollywood Unlocked, Deja Monet. Welcome. Welcome, Deja.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to chat.
Yeah, so this is a rechat
Yeah,
because
yes, a rechat and update.
yeah, so and this is a great segue into this conversation because as creators,
Mhm.
we have to deal with sometimes stuff getting messed up. And so Deja and I had a conversation for the podcast like 2 years ago, y'all, and all of my episodes got deleted. And so we never got to air it, but we had such a good conversation. So she's back and she understands because this is what happens when you're a creator. So
Mhm.
let's get into the conversation. So, the last time we chatted, you were just moving into your new apartment in New York.
Mhm.
Um, I don't remember how long you had been with Hollywood Unlocked, but I would love to start with um how you got into writing.
Oh, okay. So initially I had a blog and I wasn't consistent with it. This was back when people were using Blogger and Tumblr, and I frequented Tumblr just to write my thoughts out and things like that. But I always had an interest in writing, even ever since I was like in first grade. Like I always did little short stories and things like that, and I always loved to read. But once I got into high school, I went to Fashion Industries High School, and I'm really into fashion. Like I'm like heavy into it. Like I buy sneakers, I wear different aesthetics and things like that. I lean towards like the alt aesthetic, but I always wanted to do fashion journalism. But I realized like there wasn't a lot. Like back then, it was so hard to get into those spaces, like because it was more editorial and magazines and print and things like that. So I had to take like a different step, a different direction. Also, I went to community college. I didn't get into the college I wanted to for writing, and I dropped out like several times. I'm not gonna lie, I did. And then I just started writing on Blogger and things like that. And then once Instagram came out, I started posting pictures, and then I started posting like celebrity stuff. And then Hollywood Unlocked like commented on one of them, and then I was saying to myself, well, let me just hit them up. And this was like in 2016.
Okay, 2016.
It's 2016. If you told me in 2016 that Hollywood Unlocked would be where it's at right now, I wouldn't even believe it. Like, and I started with Hollywood Unlocked when I was around, I think maybe 26 years old. I'm 32. So it's been like a journey, literally like a journey for me, because like around the time, like I was also in like a toxic relationship, and I was still figuring things out. And, Hollywood Unlocked took my mind off of those things. So it helped me grow as a person as well. But like it just happened by chance, and now it's it's a huge thing. It's a huge media outlet.
Yeah.
It's like
You're a senior writer at one of the biggest I'd say at this point when it comes to social media and blogs and all of that stuff, it's really a news source at
yeah.
this point. So 6 years. So there's been a 6 year journey so far. And that now see that's the realty because in your 20s things are a lot different from when you transition into your 30s, especially with the career. So let's talk about that. What are some of the things that you feel like you learned on this journey with this growing brand, right? Because this isn't just like some, local newspaper or local blog. This is a nationwide, publication or platform. So what has it been like for you as a writer to transition on your journey?
Well, first of all, I had to get my typing skills up because stories they come like this. I really had to like I type like this now. People don't even believe it. Even on my phone, I type like this. It's it's crazy because I had to learn how to write on my phone. I had to learn how to write on my computer. I had to learn how to write within like 15, 20 minutes if it's like a breaking story. Um, Other things I've learned to be consistent, because if you are not consistent, you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to grow as a person. Like, I really had to be focused because I tend to procrastinate, and my procrastination is like, I'll sit down for 30 minutes and then 30 minutes turns into like 3 hours. And it's really got me. It's really got
No,
me.
that's real.
Yeah, it really put me in the groove to be busy, because in this industry you have to be quick-minded. If you're not quick-minded, you're not going to get ahead. You're not going to be in the loop. I mean, sometimes I always say being in the loop is a good thing, but also being in the loop means you have to be aware of what's going on. Because if you're not aware of what's going on, you're not going to get your facts straight. You're not going to get the story correct. You're not going to get the information well structured, So that's
Mm-hmm.
what I've learned. Another thing I've learned is I didn't expect so many people. I know we're talking about right, but I didn't expect so many people to follow me on Instagram. Like, I didn't expect 30.
Why?
I didn't expect 37,000 people to follow me on Instagram because
Why, girl? Is
I don't
it
know, because I just feel like I feel like I'm in my influencer era now, because now brands are hitting me up and they're asking me to like promote their stuff. And I'm currently like a creator for Wish. Like, I'm doing like I told you with the fashion stuff, like I had to put that on the side, but now it's coming in full circle. Now I'm doing the things that I really like to do, is writing and fashion. And it's becoming like a huge is surreal to me. So like I said, it's like the main thing I had to learn is consistencies, because if I wasn't being consistent, I don't think I would be where I am right now. I don't think I'll be speaking to you. I don't think I'll be on this platform writing stories for like millions of people to read, even if it's on a national level. I've had people from like, I think I wrote a story about something that happened in Guyana, and someone hit me up and was like, I'm so thankful that you put this out there because nobody's talking about it. Like, I
mm-hmm.
would pick stories that nobody is talking about. Like, there'd be times like I can write a story and the next day it's like you got TMZ, you got all these other blogs writing about it, because nobody looks for the stuff. I look for the stuff that nobody's going to talk about.
Well, yeah, okay. So we're gonna talk about that because I would love to hear about like your process and finding stories and keeping up. But it was something that you said that struck me when you were talking about your journey. So you talked about like having to be consistent, and then you also mentioned that it's funny how now you're doing the things that you want to do as a creator, which is fashion, and having a platform as an influencer. And I think that that's very interesting because a lot of times we're taught to go after a job or a career and not necessarily what we're passionate about. But I think that it's great that you became basically you use your skill to become more visible. And because you were consistent with that, now you're able to circle back and do the things that you want to do. And I don't think a lot of creators understand that because we're always trying to do everything at once.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So let's talk about you being consistent. Is there anything that you had to work on or any tricks or practices that you've used to help yourself become more consistent and stay on track as a creator?
Well, I had to ingrain in my mind that I had to write a certain number of stories by the end of the day. So if I know by the time I get home from my other job that I have to write 4 stories, I know I have to start looking for stuff maybe an hour before, so I have an idea of what I'm gonna do. And also for me, like, another strategy I use to be consistent is that like I said, I have to time myself, because my time management, oh Jesus, my time management, I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
It's a art. It never stops. That's the only thing I can say. Like, time management, I'm still working on it, but I had to learn how to juggle a lot of things. Like, if I know I'm going to an event, I have to at least put up maybe 2 stories, just so it's balanced on the site. If I know that if someone asks me to go out, I have to tell them I'm not going out. I have work to do. Like, I cannot, because I know if I'm, if I'm distracted, I'm not going to get any work done by the time I get home. I'm not going to be able to complete my task for the day. And another thing is sometimes I write things down to help me get the flow going. And also just, it may sound weird, but just staying on my phone, just to have an idea of what I'm going to write. Like,
Oh, so wait, what you said staying on your phone?
yeah, like staying on Instagram, just seeing what's going on.
Oh, seeing what the conversations are about,
Mhm.
what's in the mix, you
Yeah.
know.
Hmm.
So you feel like that's very important as a writer or someone who's like covering the daily news, is to like be abreast of what's
Hmm.
going on in the world. So going back to you finding stories that nobody else are really looking for. Now, I don't want you to tell any trade secrets, but I do want
Right.
you to share, with like aspiring writers, um, things that would help them in their process to become a better writer.
Well, I would always tell people to you could look on Twitter. You can also look on Reddit. I mean, Reddit is such a great source of stuff that you can use to find stories. Even if you have nothing to write, you can always look on Reddit. And I've seen people do it all the time. Like they'll look at a Reddit post and they turn that into a story. Like you could look on message forums, or like I said, even on Twitter. TikTok is now, someone could make a TikTok about, I don't know, I think one girl said she moved from Florida to Virginia, and then she found out that she didn't get the job, but she didn't find out until like a week later. And it just became like a whole big thing. And then people, like you can make a story around that. So it's just different ways of using the resources that you already have to, to be a better writer. Because if you don't use your resources, how are you gonna grow? So that's my bet. That's one thing I could suggest. Another thing is I use Grammarly. I use Grammarly to
The
I use Grammarly. This is you. I use Grammarly to make sure my work is correct, because child, that's the one thing people will come at you for, is if your grammar and your spelling and your syntax and everything is not structured, they are coming for you. They will send you a DM saying you are the worst writer in the world. You need to quit your
people,
date. Oh yes.
the
I
audacity.
oh girl, yes.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe people sending you messages. They done found the writer on the story and like, girl.
Mhm. Oh, I've gotten emails. Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They don't like
Well,
if they don't like something you wrote, oh, they will send you an email or they will tag you. It's gotten to the point I had to turn my notification, I had to turn like a mention off, because it gets crazy. People will get
hmm,
crazy, and you're just doing
yeah.
your job. That's where I feel like that's where people don't find the fine line when it comes to that, because people don't understand this is my job, okay? But this is not who I am as a person. You cannot say I'm biased or I'm saying the wrong thing when I'm just simply doing what I'm told to.
Reporting.
Reporting, yes. Not told to do, but reporting.
Yeah.
So yeah, listen, it's a lot. You have to be very you have to be very thick skinned too, and that was a lot for me to deal with also, because I can say I'm a sensitive person, but
What's your
being in the
sign?
I'm a
I'm
Pisces.
a sign person. You said Pisces?
I'm a Pisces.
Okay, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
I am a Pisces, and we are very empathetic. We take things, sometimes we tend to take things personal. I had to learn not to take anything personal, because if I took anything people were saying personal, I don't think I would get where I am today. Like I know I saw a quote, not a quote, but I saw a clip by Doja Cat where she was like, you know, if you like something, just put it out. Who cares? Who's gonna, if they don't like it, oh well. At least you put it out there.
Yeah, and I find that with a lot of creators and including myself, I've really had to like shed that attitude of caring about how people interpret me, my art, my personality, my accomplishments. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like it's not about anybody else. And you only have one life as a creator. So the
Yeah.
sooner that you can realize what you're saying, like you can't take it personally, the better it is for you as a creator, I think.
Yeah, and like considering, because I'm from the Bronx, born and raised in the Bronx.
BX.
Yeah, BX, like I had to really, um, that is something I had to really learn at an early age. I know people say people who grew up in New York, they had to grow up fast, but no, this is how I had to, I had to think quick. I had to develop some thick skin. Like I always say, my mother drilled certain values into me. Like, you want to get something, you need to work for it. If you can't sit back and allow people to say what they want about you, they're gonna not, at the end of the day, they're not gonna like what you're doing. They're not gonna always like you. You're not, I had to, every time I feel like I'm about to reach that moment of being discouraged, I listen to my mom, what she always used to tell me growing up, like, because even like growing up, I was one of those, not a shy kid, but I was just different. Like I was into different things. Like, how people expect you because you're Black, you're supposed to be into
Right.
stereotypical things. But, I wasn't, I was always the, awkward kid into
Yep.
dirty stuff. I like rock music. I'm into goth shit. Like it's all kinds of things. And
Yep.
being in this industry, I use all that experience growing up and I applied it to here. And people, like my colleague always says, "Oh, people gravitate to you so much, Deja." I don't know why, but it's just something about you that makes people want to, like, every time you step into an event, someone is like, "Oh my God, like you're so, I love what you're wearing. I love what you're doing this." And I'm like, "Okay, I just met you." Like
Yeah.
you know, it's
I
things
think
like that.
people go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say people gravitate to people who are comfortable in their own skin because it's so hard to be that. And I think a lot of times when you are outcasted or like Um, I just came to the conclusion that I was a nerd or that I am a nerd. Okay. So I like reading. I was into goth stuff. I was like out fantasy, sci-fi, all the things that the kids around me were like, girl, no. So I think when you're an outsider, it's like you have to learn throughout your life to like be able to adapt. And by the time you're like in your 30s, like us now,
Hmm.
it's like I'm just me, baby. So
Hmm.
take it or leave it. Look at the look at the cat. Look. No, we gonna keep this in here too.
Yeah, yes, please keep it. She is let me tell you something. When I do a TikTok, everybody knows who this is. Everybody in the comments, I have one friend, Jay, he be like, "Hey, you, I see you." Or
Aww.
if
Well,
I
hey,
post her,
you.
if I post her on Instagram, people be like, "Oh, you use modeling, right?" Like this is the star. This is the star of the show. Like she
Right.
the star. I had her since she was 6 weeks old. So
Oh,
this is my baby, literally my baby. But I don't know why she having her moment right now. I'm gonna let her have her moment because
you reminded me. This is reminding me of Claudia Jordan and her cat on TGIF. She's always on the screen.
oh,
But
okay, I guess she's done.
So, okay. So the last time we chatted, you were like moving into your apartment and it was a different time, right? It was a different time. I think you were still figuring out things with your role. But I wanted to ask how is it balancing? So you're a writer, but you mentioned several times that you still have like another job at a school and you have like your influencer thing going on. So how do you balance the things? I know I heard you talk about time management is a struggle, but
uh,
um
so let's add another notch on that belt. I am also in grad school. So
girl, what you going to grad school for?
oh, I'm getting I'm getting a master's in adolescent education.
Okay,
So
cool. So
yeah.
you're also in grad school. You did mention that when we talked in the DM. So, um, how are you balancing this?
Well, my school is online, so that makes life so much easier. But I do a lot of my work during my lunch. I do my homework during my lunch break. I remember I read it in an Essence article by Aaliyah's Face. I don't know if you watch her, but she says like if you're passionate about something and you want to get it done, do it during your lunch. If you have time, do it during your lunch break, and that's what I've been doing. I do my homework during lunch. I do like my classwork before the students come in. Like I try to make sure that is on point because I have a GP at my GPA right now is 4.0. So in grad school you can't you
Can't play
cannot
games.
you cannot play any
Nope.
game.
But you know it.
you
You
know
got
like
an F. You can't play.
you cannot
So,
play.
so when it comes to your career in general, where do you see yourself going? Like, what is the ultimate goal for you?
um it's an interesting question because I do plan to become a literacy specialist, but I as far as my creator journey, I'm just going with the flow. And I feel like if things really take off, I would, I would probably maybe lean towards that direction, but I don't also want to give up like my career as an educator because I love what I do working with teenagers, and I want it to be, I want to make a difference in this world as well. And also, um, because I also work in my own community. So I don't know. Like, I know it's like some people are like, well, screw it. I'm going to go and be a full time such and such. And then like they come back and they're like, oh my God, I don't know why I did that. But it's okay to make mistakes. But I just want to make sure that my life is structured and I have a foundation and I have like a sustainable source of income because considering I live in New York City, it's one of the most expensive cities in the world, and I want to make sure that I'm able to afford to keep a roof over my head. I want to be able to make sure I have food in my fridge. I want to make sure like I'm able to you know have somewhere to sleep at night and things like that. So I just want to make sure things are balanced out. So I don't want to just take leaps and then I'm just like, oh shit, like what, what did I do? I just want to make sure I'm good, because
Yeah.
I know in our previous conversation, we spoke about that. We spoke about people moving to places like New York and LA, and they just think, oh, I'm going to be an intern at such and such, and I'm going to live with 3 roommates and I'm going to make it work. But it's like, it's okay to have a regular job. There is nothing wrong with you working. I mean, there's nothing wrong with you working retail. If you got to work retail and do your influencer stuff and build your influencer career on the side, that's fine. As long as you have money in your pocket, you should be okay. I don't think in this day and age you should just completely walk into something with no type of income. You see the economy. The economy is terrible right now.
Hmm.
We have to work 2 to 3 jobs just to get by and things like that. So that's one of the biggest things I always tell people who also hit me up for advice. And I'm just like, keep doing what you're doing, but make sure you have a steady source of income. Because if your income isn't steady, you're not gonna be happy. You're not gonna enjoy what you do at all.
Yeah. And people don't talk about that in general because social media portrays, or people portray on social media, that
Mm-hmm.
the fast life is easy. You can be a creator, you can be a full-time entrepreneur, and the money is just falling off trees and you just rolling in diamonds. That's like that's the perception. And it's like, as a full-time entrepreneur, and I'm going into my 6th year with this thing. So I did what you said don't do, which was like go full force into it. And inconsistent income and late nights worrying about how you're going to make things work, the journey is something that I would never give up because I'm really passionate and I feel like this is where God wants me to be. But I'm not going to just tell everybody that this is for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're definitely right. Like, make sure you have income, make sure you have a plan, and make sure you're being strategic, because I see a lot of people get up and move to different places thinking that when they get there, it's just going to be like some magical, I don't know, experience where they're on top of the world. And then they realize that it doesn't work that way.
No, it really not in this day and age, unless you're one of those people who happen to live in the, in the major cities and you live with your parents and you can do whatever, you can do
Yeah.
whatever you, because, living with your parents, that's a different, I mean, that's a different that's a different thing in itself, because I lived with my mother before I moved out, and you got to listen to certain rules and stuff, but you're in, your financial situation is different because you could do things freely, as opposed to when you live on your own and you're like, well, can't buy that bag today. Maybe I'll buy it in a few months after I, get this house together.
Yeah, you got to be responsible. It's like adulting, you know what I'm saying? And there was this conversation that's going around right now, like, is 30 the new 20, or should you have it all together by 30? And I was thinking to myself, like, in my 20, like, when I left home at 17, I didn't go back, right?
17.
But I went to college.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
So after I went to college, like, I didn't go back home. But my 20s were a time for me to, like, have more freedom and figure things out. And a lot of people don't really use their 20s for that. So then when you get to your 30s, you're like kind of lost in the sauce. And I don't know if it's like 30 is the new 20. I just feel like if you have a support system, which is easier in your 20s, because when you're like 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, your family's like, come on over here. Come on over here and eat. I'll give you some money for gas. Boy,
Right.
you hit that big 3-0.
Yeah. I mean, my family is very close knit, and I was raised mostly. My family is very matriarchal. Like it's my grandma, my mom, my aunt, then it's me, then it's my cousin and my sister. Like, it's just all women, So my family's very close knit. They're very supportive, but my mother, well, especially my grandmother, has instilled in me to always have my own, always make sure you're good. Don't worry about, even if you're with somebody, don't stress about what they have to give you. Make sure you're good, because at the end of the day, all you have is you. And like, even my great grandma, when she was alive, she used to tell us, you want to save, even if you don't have much to save, put away $20 a week, and you can build your little fund up. And that I do that sometimes. But 30 is a new 20. I tell people all the time, I feel like I'm a teenager in an adult body, because with adult money, I could buy the things I wasn't able to buy when I was when I was 15 years old.
Yeah,
But
that's,
you know.
but I feel like that's, nobody tells you what it's like to be an adult. Like, they used to say, don't grow up too fast, all right, when you get out there, you're gonna see how it really is. But that was all the context that I feel like I got. And now it's like, yeah, it feels like you're still a child trying to figure out the world, but you have to be responsible and accountable. So
Yeah.
let's switch gears a little bit and talk about a question that I get a lot and that I'm curious about when it comes to breaking into the industry. And the industry, I'm doing this, the air quote thing, if you are listening and not watching, but the industry is, I guess, music, entertainment, television, that whole thing. Do you have any thoughts about someone who is newly trying to break into the industry and make a name for themselves as a creator? What are your thoughts?
I think since we're in the age of social media, I think people now are able to build their own platforms, on without, it's not like back then when people had to like apply for internships, they had to apply for like jobs within this industry, because that's a broad term. Because now you can just wake up one day and be like, you know what? I'm gonna start my own Hollywood Unlocked. I'm gonna make my own page and I'm gonna just start writing stuff. Like I've seen I'm talking about meme pages that I've followed since like 2014, and now they have like 20 million followers. They're getting they're getting ad revenue and partnerships and things like that. Like I feel like with social media, we are able to do these things without having someone else backing it up, So I know, but for people who really want to break into this industry, I really suggest also networking, because you never know where you're gonna go. If you meet you may never know. You could be at a mixer. You could meet somebody from, like, say someone who wants to break into the music industry and you want to do A&R or something like that. You never know. You could meet someone who works at Sony and y'all chatting it up and things like that. And then they'll be like, oh, hey, I had a really nice time meeting you. I'm going to shoot you some emails and connect you with some people who would love to, work with you and things like that. So it's about networking. It's about also having building your own foundation. It's also, you got to be, confident in what you do as well. Like you have to have sheer confidence when you want to build your own platform and putting yourself out there. Because I know a few years ago, I love taking pictures of myself, but I never liked talking on the camera. I never liked, I never liked speaking. I used to think I hate the sound of my own voice. Like I had all those things, but now if I see something going on TikTok and I feel like hey, listen, this is how I feel about X, Y, it's just that idea of just putting yourself out there. Because if you don't put yourself out there, who's going to do it for you? No one's
I
going to
know
do that.
exactly. And I think a lot of people struggle with being, well, I guess putting themselves out there because they don't want to be judged, and it's like if you're not willing to take any risk on yourself, then nobody else is gonna take any type of step towards supporting you or anything like that.
Oh,
I
at
think it's
all.
interesting that you mentioned the networking thing, because um most creators and entrepreneurs that I meet, they're in a bubble and they don't network at all. And I was just thinking about me and you. Like, I literally just on a whim was like, I really like her writing. I'm just gonna send her a message and see if she responds. And you did, So it's like I took the chance, but you could have read it and kept on going or ignored
Right.
it. But it was like, why not give it a shot? You know what I'm saying? And I feel like if more people were willing to bet on themselves, it would be a lot more happy people in the
Yeah.
world.
And plus, I also like helping women. I follow mostly women because from my personal experience, I feel like when men want to put themselves out there in this industry and stuff, they always want to flirt with you. They always want to, they be like, oh, hey, sexy, what's up? How you doing? I love your writing and da da da. Then the next message is, oh, can you help me get into Hollywood? Can you get me this? Can you?
Are
Excuse
you
me?
serious?
Yes, I'm very serious. I am so serious. Girl, let me tell you something. And this is like in any male creatives out there, especially the ones that you want to get into the music industry. That is not the way to go. That is not the way to go. Don't try to flirt with me to get into to get noticed. I'm not that type of girl. You could just be like, hey, how can I, put my music out there? I can connect you to the person who will post you on our page, and there you go. But you doing all that extra stuff, calling me sexy, doing this, doing that, just it doesn't make any sense. And then sometimes I notice people, they think that you have certain connections, and they just automatically think you're just gonna put them on. Like, I don't even know you. You never even commented on a photo. You never even liked a post. I never see you, like, we don't, like, if I post a story and you laugh, and we have so many conversations about that, and then it's just a, hey, what's up? Can you help? No, it's not organic. When it's not organic,
Yeah.
I can't help you out. And I know I sound blunt, but it's like, I can't help you out if it's not organic. I feel like with women, we're more straightforward. We're more like, hey, can you help me with this? I really want your advice. I don't, I feel like it's natural, because, I feel like women were more empathetic too. We'd be like, oh yeah, girl, let me put you on to this. We don't gatekeep, I know
Well,
there are a lot of
I was
there
about
are
to
some
say,
gatekeepers. There are some gatekeepers, though. There are some female gatekeepers, because I've experienced it. Like, I've
yeah.
experienced it, and I'll just be like, you know what? I'm gonna figure it out through someone else, or I'll just learn it on YouTube. I don't know. Like, I just, like, I feel like also to everybody is all about aesthetics as well. Like, aesthetics, like
Yeah, explain. But what do you
like,
what do
I
you
know
mean they're into it? Like, that's the only thing they care about is like their
they like
aesthetic?
optics, like,
Oh, like, Imma go here to this event and take a picture and then leave, or
mhm,
Imma go pose with this
mhm,
person because it
mhm,
looks good.
yeah, but it's no substance. It's like, bro, like, and I've been stopped by people in the street. They be like, "You Deja?" I'm like, the first person I said, "How do you know me?" They be like, "Oh, I follow you, or I've seen you on Hollywood on Log. I really like your stuff." Like, I love things like that, because you never know, I could help you out in the future. But when it's just like I have a story of when I went to a toy drive with it was a celebrity. And some guy saw me. I said hi to him or whatever. Nothing crazy. I go home, I come home, I look at my DMs the following day. The guy was like, "Oh, it was nice meeting you at the party." First of all, I never told you who I was. All I said was Deja. I never told you who I worked for, who, like, who I I never even gave an Instagram name. Like, things like that freaks me out. Like, I just be like, no.
So is
Like,
that like a new thing that's happening because you have more visibility? Like, you have to really distinguish between genuine relationships and people who are trying to use you or what they deem is a connection. And I
yeah.
remember it's interesting because I remember when we first chatted, and that was something that came up where um you mentioned that, like, and that's an interesting experience to have, you know? How does that affect you, like, I guess, personally?
Um, I'm the type of person, I feel like if you're honest about your intentions, listen, I'm cool with it. But if you do it in a way where it's not genuine, and you're just hanging around me because you think I'm gonna get you into certain spaces and all that, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna act like you don't, not exist, but I'm gonna just brush you off. I'm
Okay, so,
Yeah.
um, let's close this out with this one last thing, which is relationships. And you mentioned networking before. Um, a lot of people, say you need to network, you need to network, you need to network. But the missing link to that is not just about meeting new people, it's about building those organic, authentic relationships. And I think that that's a lost art
It really
when
is.
it comes to, you know, in general. I think, especially I guess in the creator culture, because everybody has an angle, you know?
Mhm.
But
Yeah. Oh no, I'm sorry.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, it really is a lost art because it's like you want to build relationships just so you can also have people who look out for you. You know, like there are people I met so many people, they know like I'm into like fashion and sneakers and stuff. They'll send me a link to something, be like, hey, you want to come to this? Come, I'll put you on the list. Or like if I know somebody is into, like if someone's into the same thing I'm into, I'll be like, hey, I'm going to this event, you should RSVP to it. You never, like I'll, get in, do this. You should put yourself out there. If you're interested in these things, put yourself out there. Because or you need to have somebody that will look out, and so you can network more, put yourself out there more. You can develop better, develop more relationships with people in different spaces and things like that, and even develop a friendship. Sometimes networking doesn't always have to be about business. You can build a friendship. I am friends with people. I mean, I made good friends with like people that I never met in person, and they are people who have followed my work. We have conversations every single day. Like, I think being organic will take you very far in life. If you're not being organic, you're not being yourself, you're not going to go very far in this life. You're going to crumble. You're gonna crumble. You're not gonna you're not gonna make it far. And that was a lesson for me to learn, because I remember there were times I was trying to be somebody I wasn't, and I was not happy about it. And I was just like, you know what? If I'm gonna post about gaming, I'm gonna post about it. Who cares if they don't agree with it? I'm gonna post about fashion too. I'm gonna talk about things that I like. And if nobody likes it, somebody's gonna like it. Like being
Right.
yourself is gonna take you very far, and that's all I can say about that. I've seen, and one more tidbit, like I can talk about this for
Go ahead, girl.
like I've seen now, even in the influencers, social media space, I've seen everybody do the same aesthetics and optics, the beige, the grays, the Lululemon, the tight, everything, everybody looks the same to me. And I'm like, how do you stand out? Because
Mhm.
it seemed like also brands pick those same people too. And it's like, well, damn, how do you stand out if everybody else looks the same?
Yeah, you know what it is? As someone like I just came off of a year-long creative block. So I wasn't really doing anything creative because I found myself going on social media and then seeing what was working. And I'm like, well, do I need to do that? Like,
Mhm.
what is this? You know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of people fall into that trap of doing what everybody else is doing because they feel like it's working for them, but not realizing it's working for them because it's for them. And you
Yeah,
have to find what is for you as a creator, and you have to find your people, your niche, your industry, and you can't do that if you're trying to be somebody else.
you really can't. And like I also started a YouTube channel, so I talk about I talk about
Girl.
I talk about bags, and I talk about gaming. And I remember I asked like one of those YouTube gurus some advice about how to grow my channel, and then they were like, oh no, you can't really do fashion and gaming because your audience is gonna get confused, and they're not gonna, because it's so two different niches. And I'm like, why the hell not? Why can't I just I'm not aiming for 1 million followers. I'd be fine if I had 1,000 followers. As long as I build a community of like-minded people, I'm good,
Mhm.
and I'm trying to be me. I'm doing things that I would like. And like I follow this YouTuber. Her name is Juno Birch. She plays The Sims, and she dresses like an alien from the 1950s, like the Mars
I
attack.
know exactly what you're talking
Yes,
about.
yes. Like she is like that's her persona. And she'll post about makeup and The Sims. And it works. It works for her. And I'm just
Because
like,
we're
it's
dynamic people.
yeah,
Like I feel like that Deja, like seriously, I feel like that was my struggle for a long time. Like people would make comments of like, okay, you're over here, but you do this or you're trying to do that. And when I was trying to figure out my YouTube and my content, it's like I don't want to put myself in a box. I like fashion. I like tech stuff. I like geek stuff. You know what I'm saying? I like
yeah.
books. So it's like if I want to talk about that, why can't I talk about that? Because you feel like your audience is going to get overwhelmed. Your audience is people, and people are dynamic. They have multiple interests, you know?
Yeah.
So that's interesting that that's what we are being told as creators, that you have to do like one thing and put yourself in a box.
Yeah, I'm like, but I never put myself in a box. That was never like that was never my thing when I was growing up. I liked like a lot of things from my music to my fashion. I liked everything. So to tell somebody they gotta be confined is like, no, I want to be, I want to do what I like and things like that. I think that's maybe also, I think that's why maybe a lot of people follow me on Instagram because I just post whatever and I I go and they,
Yeah.
I think that's what it is too, because I'm like, I always had this thought like, why would they follow someone like me from, like I'm just some regular person. But then people will DM me and be like, oh yeah, I like your style. I like how you do this. I love how you're into video games. I love how you do, like that's the thing that keeps me going. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just keep going. I mean, shoot, I met my boyfriend on Instagram. So
Look, look, I know that's right. But I was gonna say, like, dang, what did you just say? You just said you post like video games and stuff like that. I mean, it's just if you're into the same, oh, that's what it is. A lot of people feel like they're alone. So when they find people on social media or in real life that they're like, oh, you're into that too. I thought I was the only one. It feels good. Like people just want community. So all of this overthinking is like, I'm over it, child.
yeah, get
Okay.
over it.
So let's close out the episode. Cause I feel like me and you we could just chat
Oh, we could
all.
just chat all day.
Look, so if you could leave our cool girls or the creators and up and coming aspiring people who want to just follow their dreams, a message or, some inspiration, what would you say?
I would say the ultimate key to navigating whether it's life or this industry is just being yourself and everything else will fall into place. It may not happen at the pace you want it to, but if you continue doing what you like and just staying true to who you are, you're going to go far. And that's the best advice I can always give. And another thing is just keep learning. I learn every day. I love learning about how to get my camera angles right, how to listen. I learned how to I learned how to master CapCut the other day. Like I finally got CapCut together. So
Did you
like
download the did you download it to your Mac? Like are you using the desktop version or just
I
the
have
phone version?
I have the Mac version, I have the PC version, I have the phone, I have the iPad. I mastered. Listen, I learned how to do TikTok. Like, yeah.
Yeah. That's great advice. That's great advice. And I agree with that, especially with being like a lifelong learner. I think when you feel like you know it all or um you don't feel like there's nothing out there that you can improve upon, that's like you're stuck. You're gonna be stagnant. So I believe that's great advice. All right. So y'all, we just had a dope conversation with Deja. I'm probably gonna have to invite you back, or we're gonna have to do like something regularly because we got great chemistry and we be chatting, y'all.
Oh yeah.
Um, and we could get deep too, because our previous conversation we got deep.
Oh
Um,
yeah, that was a
we
great.
got
We had a great. That was great. Like,
yeah. So,
great.
thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Cool Girls Create. I am so happy and ecstatic that Deja joined us today. And I will see y'all on the next episode. Tee Westbrook and Deja signing out.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
y'all.